Welcome back to Eastern Plains of Colorado, here in McCaffrey Farms. If you're enjoying the videos, all I ask is that you please consider subscribing and liking the video. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking this quick hitch off of the 3-point arms because we want to try and start getting our swather ready, because we could be swathing this circle of feed anytime soon. And if you remember from last year, when we started the half section swathing it, we made about 4 rounds and a couple bearings went out, and we had to borrow a neighbor's swather. We've got those parts ordered. They should be in this morning in at Yuma, but we're gonna get this ready, get the swather hooked up, try and start tearing it apart. That way, once we get it torn apart, we can go get the parts. Hopefully they'll be in today, and then we can try and start getting everything ready to go. It is kind of raining, kind of. Hopefully it'll start doing more and amount to something good, but we'll see how it goes for now. Okay, so to take this off, we have to take this pin out, then we'll take that pin out, and then there's this deal on each side. Just have to loosen that up, take those out. Then once we do that, we'll hook up a chain on the hydro bed so we can lift it, because this is pretty heavy, and then we'll set it off somewhere and then go hook the swather up. All right, that's off. So now we'll head over to the swather. Dad's gonna get the red Ford because there's a flat tire on the swather, so we'll have to air that up before we move it. But then once we get that done, we'll back the swather in here, see what we can get ourselves into. So we found out that it's not actually flat, because that one's still good. And that tire's still good. It's just that cylinder has settled a little bit. So both tires are still fine, which is nice. Now this has always been a pain to hook up. Something about this 2-point, it never seems like it's quite right. And you gotta mess with it a lot. We always end up getting it. It just takes a little bit sometimes. But now that I said that, it's probably gonna hook up right just fine. I'm heading back to the shed because we forgot to flip the stops on the 2-point arms. Because when you have the quick attach on, they don't need to sway independently, so you can put in some sway blocks to help keep it from running into the tires. And so we had it set up to where there wasn't much sway in them, and so now we have to go back and take those out, so in that way we can get them pushed in far enough to hook up to the swather, because you have to get them in a little bit closer than what they are with the quick attach on. So I'm gonna go back to the shed where it's blocking the sprinkles from coming down and we won't get as wet, and then we'll move those off and get them to where we need them, and then we'll go back and try and hook up the swather. All right, we got it hooked up. I think all the hydraulics are right on it. Got the sway blocks in to where it barely moves any, which is good. So now I'm going to take it over to the shed and back it in. I'll show you what's all wrong and then we'll try and see what we can do, start taking it apart, and then hopefully here soon we get a call saying our parts are in for it. Anymore though, all your grinding. We got the two bearings changed on that. Should have everything put back together. So now what we're gonna do is, along this circle that we had weed on this year, in between the pasture where we keep the bulls and then the little bit of the corner pasture for the corrals, there is some grass area. It's not real green or anything. Most of it's probably somewhat dead, but we're just gonna go along there, kind of swath some of that, and some of the gearbox oils and everything. We can get that warming up and then change it, and then once we get that changed, we'll grease everything up, and then if there's still much time left tonight, start on this circle of hay grazer, get it laid down so we get it picked up and move the bales off, and then maybe water it some more and at least get it to grow up. Or maybe we could graze it some this winter with the cows. I don't know, we'll just have to see. Alright, I'm getting ready to head over to the circle. We got everything changed and we came back these corners, these small patches in between the two corner pastures we use for the bulls, and then the one for the corrals. There's actually a decent amount out here. It was pretty tall and we got some rain and it kind of actually greened back up a little bit, and so it might make 2 or 3 bales, hopefully, for no more than it is. Alright, I'm making the first pass through here. It's not very good because that well isn't real great. It's maybe 300 gallon a minute, and the grass is just bad. I don't know why. We did everything we could, but it's still leaving a pretty good windrow. So once I get done with this one on that side, I'll run through 5 more times to have a total of 6 straight east and west rows, and then I'll start going around. That's how many rows we need to turn with this thing. These Hydro Swing swathers take a little bit more, but this is one of the spots that isn't quite as good, and we are leaving it a little taller, so it'll hopefully grow back a little quicker. But I mean, there's some spots out there that are pretty good. Like this spot, it's quite a bit better than what we were just in. That is still pretty tall. I'll see what Dad says when we get back through, but it should make some hay. Hopefully it'll make a decent amount. We'll just have to see once we get it baled. Alright, welcome back to the next day. I'm just getting ready to start swathing. I'm probably going to top it off with fuel because it's about 3/4. So just to be safe, I'll top it off. Then I'll start going again. I've already got about 20 acres done according to the auto steer. I'm not really being able to use it because there's just enough. The adaptive curve on it used to work pretty good, but now it's not. I don't know why. And it's pretty picky with the swather. Like I said, don't know why, but I'm just gonna steer it. It'll be fine. And then Dad is getting ready to go mow a few places. And then I think sometime he's gonna go down and get the little tractor so we can try and get the loader off of that tractor here quick. Because I think maybe tonight that grass that we swathed, Dad's gonna try and get that baled, but just because of how dry it was. We'll see how that goes. But I'm gonna put some more fuel in this and I'll get back to swathing. First half is done right at lunch. Perfect timing. So now I'm going to come here to the sprinkler and I'm going to start moving it back forward to get it onto this half. So in that way, after lunch, it'll be out of my way and I can get started on this second half and hopefully get a pretty good majority of it done. Should be able to. I didn't start this too terribly early, so I think as long as everything goes good, maybe we can get this done tonight. And then some of that grass that we swathed yesterday to get everything kind of warmed up. I think Dad might want to try and get that baled tonight just because it's a lot drier. In 2 warm days, it's already going to be drying down quite a bit. We're going to get this going if we can get through all the weeds. Lights on and it's moving, so I'll shut this back up, get back out of the weeds, make my way back to the tractor and then go get something to eat. Sprinkler's pretty much out of my way. There's a flat tire on the second to the outside tower, and so it didn't get quite as far as I wanted it to and probably needed to be, but I'll be able to make it work. And when Dad gets back from doing what he's doing, he might be able to take that tire off with, or take a jack out there and get it back on the feed and back aired up. But I just got this second half opened up. I followed the first track around and I'm gonna do the outside first from the track, and then from there I'll start working towards the inside. But this half's looking pretty good too for the conditions. Like I said, we have a well that might be 300 gallon a minute on a good day, and so with as hot as it was and being short on water, this hay grazer's doing good enough to be a good crop for the year. But it's not as good as it should be being irrigated hay grazers. But like I said, it's doing pretty good and it'll help us out a lot this year having some irrigated. It'll be better quality and better quantity. All right, I was getting to where I couldn't turn around anymore with the sprinkler, so I started doing some passes this way to open up another 6 rows for me to turn in. But I started to notice that there's a spot on the swather that all of a sudden started leaving some hay grazer. So I stopped, shut it off, and it's been stopped for a while, so blade shouldn't be spinning. So we'll lift that up. And wouldn't you know, that's not supposed to be like that. So now I gotta clean that out. All right, I got all of it out. So now, put this back down. I'll go back in, start it up, make sure it all kind of clears out right. Then I'll try and start swathing again. From the sounds of it, once I get,
grab his gear, he'll meet you there.
Once I get back to this end, I think I'm gonna be leaving because Mom just called on the radio, as you heard. We're getting paged out to mutual aid. Alright, good morning and welcome back to day number 3 of swathing. Dad just brought me out here. What the last few, I think 2 clips were, is last night at about 7:15 we got dispatched to mutual aid for a fire. It's a pretty big fire actually. It started in Otis's district just north of ours, and we got called out, and by the time we got to there, Yuma also got there. It was probably like 1.5 to 2 hours of being out there fighting it. I think it was lightning strike, and it's just out in the middle of a pasture. I think they had fought it for a little while, but it's just big enough. But we got it out. Like I said, it burned quite a bit. It is what it is. So now I'll finish up swathing this field. I don't have too much left. I think there's just shy of 2 spans left out here. We'll get that done. Dad got the tire aired up and everything and put back on the sprinkler, so that'll be good to move when we need to rake it, but that won't be for a little while. This hay grazer takes a little while to dry down, and so it'll probably be a few days before we have to do that. But I'm gonna get this finished and then I'll see what we do next. I just finished up with this circle, so now I'm gonna take this back to the house. I'll probably unhook this because it's gonna be a while before we have to hook back up to that. Then I'll hook up to the rakes because there's some grass over there that we're gonna do. We were gonna try and do that last night, but we ended up having other plans. It did pretty good. The south half was definitely better. Hopefully we can get quite a few bales off of it. It'll help out a lot. But this field's done, so now we'll get it baled as soon as we can and hopefully start putting water back on it. And hopefully it'll at least get pretty tall again, maybe nothing else. Have a little more out here for when we graze cows on it, if we do. Alright, I got everything but the BTO unhooked. We have to do that because that shaft is basically all the way this way, so you can't pull it back anymore. So I got to pull ahead enough to be able to pull that back to get it off the PTO shaft. Then this will be unhooked and I'll go hook up to our rakes.